Hi, folks. Now, from time to time, I honestly like to try to go to a movie just to go to a movie, not to review it, not to be critical, but like to just kick back, relax, and enjoy myself. And I've just gotten home from watching the rhythm section. Now, don't hit the stop button just yet. I know what you're thinking. Mike, why the hell are you telling us about some kind of orchestra-inspired movie that we've never heard any mention of ever? Here's the thing, not even close to that. The rhythm section is actually a revenge drama starring Blake Lively and based on the first in the series of Stephanie Patrick books by Mark Burnell. And I went into this kind of expecting essentially a mix of Taken and Peppermint, which if you saw our Real Geeks review of Peppermint, which was, if you need to go back, I think it's episode 18 or so, you might remember that I had a blast with Peppermint. So when I first discovered the rhythm section a couple days ago and saw the trailer, I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, yeah, I'm in. And I am actually quite happy to say that I completely misjudged this movie in the best possible way. I think probably instead of a cross between Taken and Peppermint, I think this is more HAYWIRE crossed with Man on Fire with a dash of The Equalizer. So Blake Lively stars as Stephanie Patrick, who about 3 years before the start of the film, her family was killed in a terrorist attack, a plane bombing on a flight that she was actually supposed to be on with her family, but for reasons that the movie doesn't go into, and frankly doesn't really need to, she wasn't on the plane because she just didn't want to be. And when we meet Stephanie at the start of the film, this tragedy has basically destroyed her life. She's a drug addict, a prostitute, no degree of confidence or ability to stand up for herself in any way. Pretty much the definition of shell of a human being. And she meets this journalist who has been investigating the crash, and through him, she discovers that the crash was not the accident that everyone was led to believe, but was actually a terrorist, like I said, a terrorist plot. So she, of course, decides that she wants to go after the bomb maker, which is as far as this journalist has gotten in his own investigation, confronts him and isn't able to pull the trigger, which is actually one of the better elements of the film. Eventually she meets Jude Law's character, who trains her, builds her up in a rather brutal, realistic fashion. And then she eventually is allowed to go off on her mission. And the thing here is, this is not an action thriller. The trailers will kind of give you that impression, but that's not entirely accurate. It's more revenge drama. It is slow. It is slow. It does take a little while for the film to really pick up. And initially, I was having problems with that, but by the end, I was actually rather okay with that because it is more of a character study. The best thing about the film is easily Blake Lively herself, and to be clear though, I have frankly I don't think I've seen Blake Lively in a movie off the top of my head other than Green Lantern, so I'm logically not the best judge of her career or her acting ability, but I think in the rhythm section, she is asked to do far more than she's been asked to do in anything that she's made to date, and she does step up admirably. She's not doing more in terms of quality of acting, but more, for lack of a better phrase, quantity. I don't think she's been asked to do a lot of fighting or action scenes, and she doesn't do much here. But with this film, because Stephanie, for about the first 2 acts of the movie, you're not sure how this woman has not already gotten herself killed. She's still very much an amateur in a lot of ways. She's pretending to be a professional assassin, and pretty much everyone she meets is very quickly going, yeah, you're not who you say you are. We can tell. So because of that, there's a lot of stuff you can kind of just let go. But I think the most important thing is she is able to demonstrate a large degree of transformation with the character. Quite simply, the Stephanie that we see at the beginning of the movie is not even close to the woman that we see when the film finally goes to credits. And that, like I said, that's the biggest thing here. I wish this movie had been promoted more and better, because quite simply, by the end of the movie, I'm sitting in the theater, I'm going, actually, yeah, I rather like that. I would be down for more with this character in every way. This was a film that's brought to us by the producers of the Bond franchise, and I'm looking at them going, yeah, I can see why it appealed to them. I think they could look at this as kind of a testing ground, perhaps, for the idea of a female Bond-esque character. Because I think another good way to describe this is you could call this the mission that brought Bond to MI5's attention. This is, in some ways, it is a Bond film, but it's a completely stripped down Bond film. And the only thing that Stephanie really has going for her is that once she decides that she wants to avenge her family, she won't be stopped by anything. She won't be intimidated. She won't quit. Jude Law is, in some ways, pretty much playing his Captain Marvel character again, but a little toned down in comparison, and I mean, obviously, human, but is still very much that utterly brutal mentor character that it's hard to tell if he actually doesn't believe in Stephanie in any way until she proves herself to him, or if he's just pretending not to believe in her to motivate her. But either way, it's a lot of, okay, yeah, I think this is how a revenge story would actually play out. I think this guy would very much look at her, and as he flat out tells her, you're not someone who can pull the trigger. You can't do this. And I frankly would be I want a sequel. I'm saddened to say that due to the lack of promotion, it kills me to say this, I don't think this is going to do all that well, which is very unfortunate, because it is a very well-made movie that, like I said, stylistically, and cinematically, there's a fair bit of haywire here. Story-wise, like I said, there's a lot of potential comparisons to Man on Fire, but more Man on Fire if the Denzel character didn't have actual training or experience. So for my part, ratings-wise, this for me was easily, I would say 4 out of 5. I want to say 5, but like I said earlier, it's very slow in the early going, and if you're going into this expecting a thriller or a standard Hollywood action film, I think that's going to be a problem. But aside from that, I thought this was very well done. Very toned down as an action movie, but toned down in a way that makes sense. But with that, you should see our review of Bad Boys for Life this weekend. Next week, as I've said before, I will be turning 40 as we record Birds of Prey, and God, I can't wait for that one. And the following week, we'll be taking a look at Sonic the Hedgehog, which, again, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I'm oddly excited and dreading it at the same time, which is real weird. But I'll see everybody then.
Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, share this video with your friends, and drop us a line anytime you like.